get out of a reading slump with me. In this video, I'm vlogging my experience of trying to get out of a reading slump, and surprise, surprise, it took way longer than I thought it would. Anyway, on day one of trying to get out of the slump, I did have 30 extra minutes to spare, so I thought, why not start one of my most anticipated reads? Let's talk about my plan. What's working, what's not working, what people recommend to do versus what I'm actually gonna do, because it's not always the same thing. Obviously, I'm actively trying to get out of a slump, so I'm picking up my book when I have 5 minutes to spare instead of picking up my phone and scrolling through social media. For quite a while, I wasn't bringing books to class with me, so I'd be sitting in my seat for like 5 to 10 minutes before class started, scrolling through my phone. Bring a book to class. So simple. I feel like reading those pages, even if it's only a few, like keeps me motivated. So I think I'm gonna continue to do that because I feel like every tiny win is still a win. Maybe I'm really naive for thinking this, but I thought as soon as I picked up Spectacular, my slump would be over. I'd be like, oh, this is amazing. This is the best thing I've ever read. Like, yeah. That didn't happen. I'm not done with it yet. I'll give you a little synopsis, but let me tell you why I thought it would be like the perfect book to pull me out of a slump. I love Stephanie Garber. Not only do I love her books, but I also just adore her as a person. She just seems so sweet. She has very whimsical and magical worlds, and she just came out with a holiday novella that comes after the Caraval trilogy, which I read and really liked. So this book is short, it's a part of a series I'm already familiar with, and it's illustrated. There's so many cute illustrations in here, and I really just thought it would be the perfect book to pick up. Honestly, it's not really doing it for me. I was so excited for this book. The plot is not there. What is going on? Oh, I don't know what to get so-and-so for Christmas. This is a fantasy world. This is a magical fantasy world that has twists and turns. And the plot is that you don't know what to get someone for Christmas. I understand it's a holiday book, but is that really going to be our central problem? I have to leave for class in 1 minute, so like, insert Caraval synopsis here. Welcome to what used to be my Stephanie Garber shrine. I had to switch it up, you know, put like a little wicked display up in here. But Caraval, let's talk about it. Caraval is a magical game that is very twisting and dangerous, and you never know what's part of the game, what's real, and what's fake. Scarlett has wanted to play Caraval all her life, and she finally gets the chance to. The game of Caraval is different every year, and this year, Scarlett's sister Tella is kidnapped, and you have to find her to win the game of Caraval. She had been writing letters to like the mastermind of Caraval for years, saying, please, I want to play the game so badly, and he's just like, okay, I'll kidnap your sister. And you have to find her. Happy Caraval! So, it's fun. I liked it. Sorry that synopsis isn't fantastic. It's been like over 1.5 years since I read that, so you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. I can't talk anymore. I'm so sorry. So 11.5 hours have passed. So hopefully I don't repeat myself. If I do, I'm just gonna cut it out. I should have finished this book in a day, but I didn't. I got really distracted, which to be fair, I think anyone else in my position would have been distracted as well. But I guess I am making up excuses for myself because technically this would be day 3. I didn't film anything yesterday because I didn't read anything yesterday. That's not true. I did read for school. And that's why he's here. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I am halfway through Spectacular, and of course, I'm not happy with the plot. We know this, okay? But I still like Stephanie Garber's world. It was really nice, like, revisiting these characters. Like, there's 4 main characters, and Stephanie Garber has favorites, and our favorites do not align. I probably would have finished this by now if the stakes were higher, and I do plan on finishing it tonight. But I don't think I'm really gonna rate it super high, and I didn't read it yesterday. I didn't read it at all today. It's now, well, okay, it's midnight. Fantastic. Fantastic. Now, what I actually read on day 2 of my slump was Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu. Fanu. I don't know. I had to read this in English. It was written in 1872, and I believe this was the very first vampire erotic thriller, which is definitely something. This book inspired Dracula, which is why Vlad is here, because, I mean, he's like Dracula, but he's Vlad. Carmilla receives a lot of praise because Carmilla is queer, and so people are like, oh, this book is so progressive, and it's about vampires, and it was written in 1872, like, before Dracula. That's so crazy. Like, how progressive. Guys. The author of this book was homophobic and wrote it to warn people against lesbians because he thought they were evil. So, there's your little history lesson, but I also feel like intent versus what people actually get out of it can be very different. If people are gonna like celebrate Carmilla and be like, oh my gosh, she's a girl boss, like they can think that, but that was definitely not his intent. Anyway, I didn't like this because the main characters, they didn't use their brain at all. It was very frustrating because there would be like a red flag like right in front of their face and they wouldn't see it. They wouldn't see a thing. There were such obvious clues that something wasn't right and they were just like, no, that's normal. She's foreign. She's not from here. They overlook so much, and it's not even that it's like, oh, that's a little obvious. Like, no, it is like spelled out for them, and they're still making up excuses, being like, no, I don't think that's true. I think it's something else. I also have found I just don't really like reading about vampires, which like, I feel like the concept of them I like, but when it comes to actually reading about vampires, I never have a good time. I never finished talking about my plans, so I kind of want to talk about like the books that I want to read. A lot of people recommend to reread one of your favorite books when you're in a reading slump. I don't really like rereading books. I don't know, I kind of enjoy reading new things. I also just haven't really done it. The only book I've reread is Daisy Jones and the Six. I started rereading this months ago and I was like annotating it, but I haven't done that in a while, so like maybe I'll do some of that, but it's not really like high up on my list of things that I want to do. I mean, I love the book, don't get me wrong, but I really just want to read like new things. So I'll probably reread a little bit, I don't know. But I want to talk about the other books on my radar. I'm in the mood to read fantasy, so I thought I'd pick up The Wicked King because I have a friend that loved this. And I'm like, okay, if you love this, like I really liked The Cruel Prince, I'm gonna pick it up. I don't know, I just feel like it's a book that I'm kind of excited to read, and I should pick up books I'm excited to read, like that makes the most sense. Another book on my radar is Wicked, which the movie comes out in 2 weeks, so I was like, oh, like, this would be a good time to read it. But I have an opportunity to go to an early screening 9 days before it comes out, which means I, like, have to get started on it now if I want to finish it. I feel like it's it feels like a dense book. I don't know if I'll read it before I watch the movie, but I have a feeling I'm gonna be like super obsessed with the movie and then I'm gonna want to read it after. So what if I get started before? I am also 55 pages into The Silent Patient. I don't really like thrillers, but I want to like them. So I thought I'd give this one a shot because like so many people love it. So I have it and I started it and I don't think it's very thrilling yet, but I heard like it gets thrilling. If those books fail to get me out of a slump, I'm going to go for Wherever You Are by Kristen Becker-Ritchie. I am 21 pages into it because I started it after I had a terrible day, and that's like an understatement. Like genuinely, my day happened and I was like, I cannot live in the real world right now. I really want to escape, so this is where I went to. And I read like 20 pages and then I tried to sleep, and then I'll just say it was a really rough night, but I think this will always do its job. It's a spinoff of the Addicted series, and I love the Addicted series with all my heart. And this world brings me so much comfort, and that was definitely what I needed. Getting sad now, and I really don't want to be sad. It's been a rough semester, and I think the reading slump has made it like this much harder, and I'm tired of it. I just want to be out of the slump. I think that will make me feel a lot better. So I'm going to read this. I'm going to try to finish it, and so then I can start a new book, and hopefully that new book will keep me engaged and excited to keep reading. You see, like, plot was introduced, but it's just so cliche, and it doesn't make sense for this series. But then I'm just complaining that the plot's too boring, and now that something's actually happening, I'm like, oh, but it's not good. Like, I don't ever want to dislike a Stephanie Garber book, but this is not it. Day 4 of trying to get out of a slump. I've read this many pages today. I've actually been writing all day today, a screenplay, not a novel. Maybe one day I'll write a novel. I doubt it, honestly. That actually does not seem like fun. It saddens me to say I finished Spectacular, and I'm rating it 2 stars. This is going to make me sound like I can never be happy, because conflict was introduced in this book where I was like, finally, we have some stakes. The conflict ended up being quite cliche, and then when it wasn't cliche, I felt icky reading it. Like, so uncomfortable and, like, just kind of disgusted, you know? Like, I just was looking at my phone. But that's just because college students, am I right? I was so excited for this book, I was talking about it at Halloween parties. Dressed up as Sue Sylvester from the greatest television show of all time. I told my mom what I rated the book, and she was sad for me. She's like, I know you were so excited for that book. Like, you don't understand. It's heartbreaking not loving this book. My only plan for tonight is just to read one of these. And if they're both Wicked books. We have Wicked and The Wicked King. I don't know if it's a good idea for me to try to read this or not, because realistically, I'm not going to finish it before I watch the movie. I'm going to start The Wicked King by Holly Black. This is the second book in the Dirty Air series. The Cruel Prince is the first book. I've heard very good things about this book, and I have not seen any spoilers for it, which is fantastic. After the disappointment of Spectacular, if this disappoints me, it's going to be rough. Gonna be rough.
I need a change. I need for something to happen to me without a warning.
I fell asleep as soon as I stopped recording yesterday, so let's get reading.
I see all the same faces, but I don't even know them.
I've been in the mood for YA fantasy, but now I'm thinking I'm gonna start like a new romance book. Not even like this, I mean like a new romance book with like a new couple. Yeah. I actually have faith in this book. Not even that the book is good, because so far I don't think it really... I'm only 30 pages into this, and some of these characters have really bad side character syndrome. Their only purpose is to have like these info dumps and just like mention in a conversation something that would never organically come up with people that you know. It didn't feel organic. I understand the point of it, but the magical thing about writing a book is that you can just like give background without dialogue. I mean, that's not something... Well, you can do it in like a screenplay with like voiceovers, but like in books especially, you can just be like, oh, this is how I met that person. I will say this book already shocked me. Didn't expect what happens in the first 30 pages to happen. I definitely think this book has like the potential to hold my attention. Now with The Wicked King, I'm 28 pages in, and I don't really know what it is, why I'm not locking in on it. Maybe I just need to read this, have like a brain rot type thing going on. Which I'm not saying her books rot the brain. I don't think they do. I really like her books. And then when I finish this maybe, or even just like get further and I'm ready to like lock in to my books, I think I'm gonna go for this one. I feel like I have so many great ideas of the books I want to pick up and the vlogs that go with them, but then I don't execute them. I imagine it would be really rad of me to read this right now. I think my issue is I can't stick to a book. I just need to stick to one. I don't want to say this too prematurely, but like yesterday was like a really, really good reading day, and I read so much and I loved what I was reading, and I got to the point where I really should be sleeping, but I was like, oh, just one more chapter. Oh, that was really good, and it was really short, just one more chapter, and like, oh, I've missed that feeling so much. Ew, it's so much fun. I love it. I love it. I love it. I want to say so badly I'm out of this slump, but I also have so much writing I have to do for the rest of the week, and if I have assignments to do and then events going on, where does like reading fall into that schedule? I've made progress within these books and they make me excited to read. I don't know if I have time to tell you about them right now. I have time to talk about this at least. I believe it's going to be like a friends to lovers romance between Sophie and Liam. Sophie's dad is like an F1 principal for a team, so he like goes to all the races and such, and Sophie's actually joining him in this tour. And Sophie has like a bucket list of things she wants to do while she's on this tour, because she's always like this like type A, really good student, and she wants to let loose and be a little bit of a wild child. Liam is an F1 driver for Sophie's dad's like biggest rival, but they're not like mean rivals, like they're very friendly with each other. Now Liam had like a situationship recently and didn't exactly end well, and the person that he had the situationship with decided to tell everybody about it, and he kind of has like a bad reputation right now. He's on thin ice because it was with his boss's niece. So they both have other things going on that kind of make them want to stay apart, but at the same time, should they do the bucket list together? It's been a lot of fun so far. I have to say, the writing's not exactly good. You can just tell she doesn't have like a lot of experience writing. I think there's so many like cliche things going on in here that aren't fantastic, but it's like really fast paced. I don't want people to think that like Lauren Asher's writing is bad, because I don't think it is. I think this truly is just like the second book she's ever written, and she's improved so much. I think the beautiful thing about romance books is that they can be so easy to read, and you don't have to put like a lot of thoughts into it. Whereas, I think for these books, you need to put a little more thought into it. With this one, I'm just trying to predict what sort of plot twist is gonna happen. I'm not on edge at all, but I thought I would be. So I am kind of let down by that. Honestly, it just feels like a character study. I'm 83 pages into The Silent Patient, and it's about a criminal psychotherapist that is like obsessed with a story of Alicia Berenson. Basically, Alicia like murdered her husband out of nowhere and then never talked again. So she's been in a psychiatric hospital for years and like has not said a word. And Theo Faber is convinced he can get her to speak and he can learn her story and figure out why she did it. Book 3, I'm on page 63 of The Wicked King. So I'll just tell you what I generally think of book 2 because I don't want to spoil book 1. It was a little slow at first, but it's starting to pick up, and like chapter 5 especially, I just really enjoyed chapter 5. It's Wicked Day! This is really disturbing. That was a reading from a class about murder, so. Speaking of murder, I've read a little bit more of The Silent Patient, and I just like have something to say about it. We're on day 9, and I thought it would be a fantastic idea to read this on the bus. I missed the bus. Of course, that made my day because I had to walk 30 minutes uphill. On the bright side, I checked out the audiobook from Libby, so I was able to listen to it. I'm almost halfway through the book now, and that's helped me develop my opinion. And part of that opinion is that there is way too much plot surrounding Theo Faber. He's the psychotherapist, and so much of this book is about his life, and I don't care. Maybe I'm being nitpicky, but I didn't realize when picking up this book that it's just about like a guy's midlife crisis. Even though I don't really care about his storyline, I'm still really interested to see like what happened and why the murder took place. It's probably the last I will be able to talk about this plot without spoiling anything. I mean, this book is so successful. I mean, over 4 million copies sold. That's crazy. I just walked back in the door and I didn't want to readjust the height of my tripod, so here you are. Oh, this is scary. It's pouring outside. Several times, all 400 people in that auditorium. Welcome to day 43 of trying to get out of a reading slump. I think it was just a bad idea to start the reading vlog when I did, because I knew I had so many essays, exams, projects, presentations, all of that coming up, but I was like, it's fine, I'm gonna get all that done later. It was a lot due all at once, and I just thought it would be a better idea to just like put all my focus on that and not really worry too much about this. And so this, I feel like, suffered. That doesn't mean I didn't do any reading though. I actually finished 2 books. I'm almost done with my 3rd, and I started a 4th. The first book I finished was The Silent Patient. It's been a while since I finished this book, so let me look at my Goodreads. Right, yeah, I gave this 3 stars. First off, I thought this book was kind of boring. And then when I didn't think it was boring and I started to like come up with theories in my head, I guessed part of the ending. I didn't guess like the thing as a whole, but there was like a big aspect of it that I did guess. And then it was like, oh, this really isn't all that shocking to read. I was just a tad disappointed because everybody hyped up the ending and then I saw parts of it coming. The next book I finished was Collided, and I gave it 3 stars. I really liked this book until, I don't even know what point it was, but I'd say like all of this middle stuff is like fairly boring. Not a lot happens, and I was kind of like, okay, this is dragging along. Please, something needs to happen. I was a little frustrated that I was finding yet another book to be boring. I honestly didn't have very high expectations for this book though, so I wouldn't say that I was disappointed in it. Her writing has just gotten so much better because like reading this, I'm like, oh, like are we sure the same person that wrote this wrote Terms and Conditions? Like, hi, I realized I rated 2 books 3 stars in a row, and I feel like I need to mention like 3 stars is not that bad of a rating. I feel like Collided to its core, the story is really not that bad. I actually thought there were like quite a few parts that I was like, oh, this is really sweet. I really like the ending. But after thinking about what I said about The Silent Patient, I feel like I should rate it lower. My big thing is I didn't think the book was bad, I just thought it was boring. Which I don't think those always mean the same thing. And that's kind of why I gave it 3, because I was like, well, it's not like atrocious. It's not like inherently bad. I'm not reading it and thinking, oh, this sucks. I just thought it was boring. Now we have The Wicked King. I am so close to finishing this book, and it's looking a little rough. I have around 20 pages left of The Wicked King, and I'm enjoying it so far. Honestly, like, I feel like this has been my favorite book of this video so far, which is probably evident by me saying I'm bored by every book I've read. I'm in the mood for fantasy right now, and I'm really enjoying this, and I will finish it today. That's not even like oh, maybe I'll finish it. I will. 20 pages left. Come on, Erin. Get this going. A book I just started was My December Darling by Lauren Asher. It's her new Christmas novella, and I really wanted to read it before Christmas, and I was like, well, that means you have to start it now, or you have to wait a year. I'm 45 pages into it, and it's a lot cheesier than her other books, which is kind of to be expected when you pick up a Christmas book. But this book takes place in Lake Wisteria, which is like the same location as like her newer books. What are they called? The Lakefront Billionaire series. One of the more cheesier aspects of this is that the main character's name is Dr. Darling. Now again, it is day 43, and I truly think this will be the day that I get out of my slump. Let me tell you why. I turned in my last assignment of the semester yesterday. This means I have an entire month off. A month to read. Today, the only thing I need to do is a couple of errands that I already did. And then I also just need to read. I'm going to try my hardest to, of course, finish this and then just start binging this book. I don't know that I'm going to finish it today, but I think I can get like a pretty decent amount of it done. Anyway, I'm going to get reading. I finished both books I was reading, and guess what? They are both 4 stars. I love reading, and life is so much brighter now that I don't have to do like schoolwork and that I have time to do this. And then I was reading them. I just feel so happy that I finished these books, and I was so excited to read them, and then I read them and they were great and I was having a good time. I guess we'll start with The Wicked King. I cannot wait to pick up The Queen of Nothing. That was so crazy and so fun and just like a fun fantasy world to be in, and I'm in like the mood for fantasy, which is fantastic because you know what I plan on reading next? You know what it is? A fantasy series. I don't like to read epilogues, but I read both of these epilogues and I loved them. I mean, I was gonna read the epilogue to this anyway because I had a feeling I would need it for the next book in this series, and I'll get to that at some point. And I'm so glad I read the epilogue because it's so telling. There's so much more to this series, and I'm so excited for the 3rd and final book. And then there's like spin-offs and stuff. Oh! Without giving away too much, the ending of this book made me immediately want to pick up the 3rd book. Unfortunately, I won't be doing that right now because I have other books that I want to read for certain videos and stuff, and we gotta put this on the back burner for just like a couple of weeks. Not long at all. Then when I was reading this, I was having the time of my life. I was like, okay, Dr. Darling. Like, even though that name is like really embarrassing and she probably should have chosen a different name. At first I thought it was really cheesy, but as it went on, I was like, wait, this is less and less cheesy. This is good. This is like, ooh, I really like this. And then it's 230 pages and that's it. This made me so happy to be like in the mood for reading, and like finishing this book and immediately wanting to pick up another book was just like such a refreshing feeling. Oh. I have a bone to pick with everybody that I follow on Goodreads. Why are all of you rating this 3 stars? It is a good book, and I do not understand why people are not giving this 4. I was looking at the reviews for this, and for some reason, all of y'all are little haters. Luke is so charming, but then like Catalina is like more reserved and a little shy, but they go so well together, and like they match each other's energy, which is like so cliche, but it works. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. If you would like, comment, and subscribe, I would very much appreciate it. I will see you at some point or another. Bye.